All right. All right, clap it up. It's the Isupk, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. So 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, under Commander Jimmy Hanna. It's preaching officer 500-yard mile down the Lashawan Qadash class until Officer Papa Wan gets here. I'm just gonna jump right into it. So, Lashawan Qadash, right? Who tell me what this means?
Like, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Holy tongue.
Holy tongue. All right, I'm gonna spell that wrong. All right. All right. What is the holy tongue?
Like, sir.
Mm-hmm.
It's the language of the angels, the Hebrew.
And what?
Hmm.
And what?
Angels.
Break it down.
So basically, it's the language that Israel spoke to each other.
Is that it?
Basically, Black, Spanish, and English.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it's not showing.
On YouTube and what channel?
Oh yeah, so then mark it up.
Where is spelled?
T-O-N.
What?
T-O-N.
G.
Oh, what do you say? UG.
That's not right. T.
T-O.
N. G.
That's how you said it first.
G. E. T. O. G.
Now, holy tongue. You gotta break better than that. What does it mean? How does this core what we do, what we teach? Who you say this is the language of use?
Islam, holy means separate.
Holy means separate. So this tongue language is a separate language.
That's right.
And that separate language pertains to who?
Israel.
Israelites. You understand? Not only is it the language, but it's also the language of the Israelites.
That's right.
Because the angels are us, we are God's chosen people. So on and so forth. Somebody give me 1 Corinthians 13:1.
The 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Though I speak with the tongues of men
Mm-hmm.
and of angels.
Though I speak with the tongue of men and angels. Then this is getting into the brotherhood scriptures, but let us know that he speaks the tongue of men. What are the tongues? Greek, Spanish, Rome, Arcane, English, German. These are the tongues of men. These are tongues that men created, you understand, over time, have formed and shaped into the languages that they have. Read it again.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Though I speak with the tongues of men
Mm-hmm.
and of angels.
And with angels. Now, the angel's tongue is the Lashawan Qadash, right? Which means what? Oh, come on. Lashawan Qadash, which means what again?
Holy tongue.
The holy tongue. You understand? This is what this means. It's separated from the rest. Is there any more on that?
How come?
Keep going.
And have not charity.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can drop that. But what the point of that scripture is to let you know that the tongues are different. You understand? A lot of like Christians will say that speaking in tongues is shalalalabuse and all of that nonsense. That's not what a tongue is. A tongue is just a language. and you got the language of men, and you got the language that the angels speak. You understand? And the language that the angels speak is more powerful than men, which is why we say the prayers in the English and also in the Hebrew or the Lashawan Qadash. Right? So now somebody give me the prologue to Ecclesiasticus. It's before the first chapter. I want you to read down until you find. I'll just give it to you so I can highlight it. For the same things uttered. Read down when you find for the same things uttered.
Oh, shoot, it's wrong. Gotcha.
Anybody know how to write the alphabet? Am I gonna take a shot? Y'all got y'all boards, you're gonna use them. Everybody got markers? You need one?
So for the same things other.
Mm-hmm.
Prologue to the wisdom of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. And then read go to where you see for the same things uttered, but read them for that.
Shit. Bible study tools. I'm not trying to. It's for the same things other in Hebrew. Okay.
Shalom, okay. Behind the car. You see it? Hold on 1 second. Mike, tell the Shamar to help out. I'm sorry. Somebody's phone. Okay. So, you good? You find it, Mike? Well,
This is, this is Ben's here.
all right, that's good. Okay. Got it?
For the same things other in Hebrew.
Read a little bit about that though.
Mhm. Yeah, Ecclesiastes 1. Prologue of wisdom. Are you?
It's all like one paragraph, so just go to the next sentence above for the same things uttered. Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it.
Wherefore, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus.
It's just a prologue.
Oh, yeah, prologue. Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words, which we have labored to interpret. But it's like it, basically that we have struggled to interpret.
Meaning they went to a great distance to learn these words.
Okay.
Like for a long time, our language was lost to us, but now we have them. Now we know what the Lashawan Qadash is. We have the syllables and the vowels and the sounds to be able to put these words together and to bring back our language so that we can say it. You understand? Keep going.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. Meaning what? What is it? What does it mean that it has not the same force in them?
It's like basically doesn't have the same power as you would say.
Right. Meaning when we're praying unto the Lord and you're saying, please God, it doesn't have the same amount of power as when you say Shalom, Yahweh B'Shem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatah, Barakatah, Yahweh, Yahweh Shah. You understand? And the angels don't hear it the same because it's not their language. You understand?
And not only these things, but the law itself, and the prophets, and the rest of the books.
That's cool. You can stop there. Now, we're going to write the alphabet, right? The first alphabet I want you to write out is the I. But I want you to write it with your boards. can show it. Don't write I-A-H, write the ancient alphabet. If I want to get here, he can write all this stuff out way better than I can.
He already had it.
It's just got it, all right?
He already had it.
So the I, right, this is the I, this sound makes the sound I, and this is the symbol for it. You understand? Or the what you call it, the graphic for it. I don't know what you call it.
Symbol, I guess you could say.
Yeah, the symbol.
Con.
All right, and this symbol, you know, would turn into, it would sound like Allah, right?
Con.
Which means cow.
Con.
Which is the cow. All right, so now the ba, which is the second syllable.
Just say Allah.
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 What is the ba? What is the ba syllable? And write it big. You got the best hand right now.
You really do got that saying right. That's why I got this on my phone.
Yeah, use your phone.
Yeah, I got the whole outfit on my phone. I'm tripping.
Five is. Yeah, which means house, right? Bayah, which means house. All right, so now the way that this would work, right? I gotta tell you something. Like the way you would put these together, of course, in the Hebrew, we read from right to left. And so, does anybody know how to say father in Hebrew? Anybody heard what father in Hebrew is? Sis. It's Abba, right? So how this would work is, right, you would have the A and then the Ba, right? And you would bring them together, which would be A, Ba, right? Yeah. It's not together, so like it's separated. I need this thing to be a little bit higher. All right, so these together will become Abba, which if you go back earlier or and more so like Proto-Sinaitic Hebrew, you would have something that looked like this. All right, this is what it would look like on the walls, right? This would have been the cow or the ox, the oxen. And the oxen, of course, inside of the group of cattle is always what? The male, the head. He's the person in charge. And the ba, which is bayath or house, would have been tent, right? Meaning what? Now we know that this together means father, but how would you break this down? Abba, this is the cow or the ox. This represents strength. This represents the head. The tent represents what? Which means that the Abba or the father is what? He's the head of the house.
That's right.
You understand? So these two together would be head of house. I ain't gonna write on that out. What we got next? Abba, Ga. Right after Ga.
Oh, it's like a little stick, like 7 turn the opposite way.
You see, I'm letting them try to get it this time. I got it. Let me see. Got it.
Right, just like I said, sometimes.
All right, and the God would be Gamel. All right, which is camel.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's okay, easy, we get the Hebrew, it's just like, that comes.
Repetition.
Yeah, it's repetition.
Now, of course, right now, we're only going in it, over the ancient. But of course, on Fridays.
Christ.
You ready? Yeah. Come on. Now, this is the real teacher. Come on, bro. I ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. I'm blind. Brothers try to say my You can erase all of this and start over. Come. Sure. Slow. Sure. What's on your credit? Get up on these broken hands. Lashawan Qadash. This class is excellent. What's on your credit? All right, we're gonna get into this. Before we get into that, did you read those scriptures?
Yeah, I did.
I'm not getting into 1 Corinthians again, but if we can get the prologue to Ecclesiastes. Most High in Christ. So what? Oh, I did. I was gonna talk to you about it. I peeped.
All right, so which way you
I'm gonna tell you exactly where to go.
want?
So bear with me just a moment. Shalom, everybody tuning in online. The water, of course, it's the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class. We out here in this Goldsboro. Shout out to Goldsboro. Shout out to the Goldsboro School.
That's right.
We'll come through and do a little something. So we're gonna go to prologue to the book of Ecclesiasticus. Of course, the book of Ecclesiasticus is in the Apocrypha, right? But remember that the Apocrypha is what? What is the Apocrypha? So what does Apocrypha mean? It means hidden books, right? But what is it? Please.
It's basically the 14 missing books that got removed in 1693. They began whitewash first.
That's a fact. Give me one word to help you understand what this is. The reason why I'm asking this question is because it's a mistake that brothers make sometimes, and you know what I'm saying. But you know, it's something that you gotta, if you understand it, right, and say it appropriately, then it'll be a lot easier when it comes to teaching people and getting them to understand the importance of the book. So give me one word to describe what this book is. Because you think of, if I say Ecclesiasticus, you'll say what? Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. If I say, Maccabees, first, second Maccabees, you'll say where? In the Apocrypha, which it is in the Apocrypha. But the Apocrypha is what?
The Bible.
Damn right. The Apocrypha is the Bible. So keep that in mind. So when someone says, such and such in the book of Ecclesiasticus, don't treat it like something. Sometimes you might hear brothers say in the Apocrypha, but it's just so the reader or whoever can locate it. Okay, but always remember that this is the Bible. This is not separate, it's not extra, it's part of the Bible. If this is not in it, then it's an incomplete Bible. Okay? So yeah, let's read the prologue to the book of Ecclesiasticus. I want you to start from, I'll tell you in just a moment. Where there's a part, it's just one paragraph where it says, wherefore let me entreat you. Wherefore let me entreat you. Let's start there. Because I just want to real quickly
obviously our mom was going into so excellently. Just want to talk about, a little bit of history of Lashawan Qadash, Salakia, and so this can also understand the importance of it. You know what I'm saying? So read that if you could.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes on the prologue. We entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come.
The translation, because we're working to translate this thing, and we might come short of a couple of words. That's what the brother who's writing this is saying. Go ahead.
Which we have labored to interpret.
We worked real hard to interpret it. Go ahead.
For the same
things what?
Uttered in Hebrew.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew. Go ahead.
And translated into another tongue.
And translated into what? And translated into English. Translated into Spanish. Translated into, because in the Bible the word tongue means what? That's it.
Yeah.
A tongue, when it says tongue, it means language. So it's translated into other tongues. Go ahead.
Have not the same force in them.
No, it has the same force. See it again. Say it again.
Have not the same force in them.
No, they have the same force in them.
Have not the same force in them.
No, it doesn't matter what language it's in.
Have not the same force in them.
It doesn't have the same force if it's not written in Hebrew.
Right.
So sometimes saying that you don't gotta learn Hebrew.
Yeah.
You got fake Israelites that walk up to you and say hello. You know what I'm saying? And they say to their sisters, Most High in Christ bless. You know what I mean? Now there's times when we say Most High in Christ, but we speak Hebrew to one another. You know what I'm saying? Because why? Because part where it says and translated to another where it says same things uttered in Hebrew. So I did.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them.
Right, go ahead.
And not only these things.
Not only what we're about to read in the book of Ecclesiastes. Go ahead.
But the law itself.
So what?
But the law itself.
Even the law, so you can't even understand the laws. Go ahead.
And the prophets.
And the prophets. I mean, you can't understand all the prophets. Samuel, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos. Same force, you know.
And the rest of the books.
And what?
And the rest of the books.
Meaning the entire Bible.
That's right.
All of it. Go ahead.
Have no small difference.
There's no small difference. Meaning what? Go ahead.
When they are spoken in their own language.
Right. Okay, so that's why it's important for us to go into this Hebrew and get an understanding of it. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody tells you why you speaking that funny language or whatever the case may be, then they're just somebody that doesn't really care about understanding this Bible.
Right.
That's right.
Right. We're gonna get right into. We're gonna continue from this, man. But also let me get Psalm 83. Psalm 83, start at verse 1 real quick as well. I'm gonna keep going with this while the brother reads some of these scriptures. Okay. So like you bear with me just a moment. Yeah, read it as soon as you get it. Psalm 83, start at verse 1.
I was saying the praise.
So you read it from there.
I do.
Mr. Rob. Not a problem.
I bet.
So read as soon as you got it.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 83. Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still.
Who's talking here? King David's talking, right? What is he saying? Well, read from the top.
Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God.
What is he actually saying? Bring it home a little bit.
Please. He's asking God to.
The Most High, don't sit still, don't be silent, don't just stand there. I want you to do something. Go ahead.
Verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Right. Why? This is the enemies of the Most High do what?
Make a tumult.
They're making a loud, boisterous noise, right? Notice he said the enemies of who? He said thy enemies, and he's talking to the Most High. They my enemies. He could have said that, but he said your enemies.
Right.
So guess what? God has what? God has enemies. I thought God loves everybody.
And they that hate thee
Uh-huh.
have lifted up the head.
Uh-huh.
Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel
Uh-huh.
against thy people.
They've done what?
They have taken crafty counsel against thy hidden ones.
Right, go ahead.
Verse 4. They have said,
Uh-huh.
come and let us cut them off
Uh-huh.
from being a nation.
That's the part I want right there. Let us cut them off from being what?
A nation.
Right? So now, what is a nation? I want the textbook definition of a nation. Somebody look it up.
Yeah.
Bible Kushal. Right? I'll look for my notes here. Yeah, definition of a nation.
This
Go
is
ahead.
this is from the Oxford Dictionary.
Mhm.
A large body of people
Mhm.
united by common descent.
Yep, this is what I want. A large body of people united by common what?
Descent.
Common descent. What does that mean?
It's like
Go ahead.
basically the same blood.
That's right. Have the same bloodline. Go ahead.
History,
They have what? They have the same history. Right, go ahead.
culture,
Same what?
culture,
Culture. So these people and language. These are the things that make a nation: the culture, the language, the history, the bloodline. Now ask a black man in America what he is. What's he gonna tell you? He's gonna say Christian. I'm black man.
You say African
I'm
American.
African American, right? Ask a black man what his culture is, and he's not gonna be able to name anything before slavery, right? Ask a black man what his language is. English, Spanish. You understand? But it's not gonna be anything before slavery. Go ahead, hold on.
I said he gonna if you believe he's African, he gonna say Swahili or
Right. This way, if he's a black, he's black. That's exactly what he's gonna say. You know what I'm saying? But if we have the common history, then they gotta be before slavery. They gotta go back to somewhere. You understand? And that's why when people are looking like, what the hell is this one I'm looking at?
If I could, that's like, it's crazy because, you know, if black people want to come together, then there's no way in hell that you could say that our language is Swahili.
Right.
Because difference of Harakahudi or whatever.
Right.
Because I may be Swahili, but you may be Matumbo.
Exactly.
You know, you may be Gumbo, or you may be Dumbo, or whatever
Right.
tribe that you are. And it's like, that still ain't black people coming together.
That's right.
You understand?
Right.
That's trying to align yourself with a cesspool of nations that hate each other.
That's get that brother hand, man. Yeah, right. It is. You're aligning yourself with a bunch of people that's divided themselves. I'm not mistaken. Aren't they in Africa cutting each other's feet off? You know what I'm saying? Over diamonds and all of this?
Rwanda, the Hutus, the
Yeah,
Tutsis.
The Hutus and the Tutsis. And finding out you Swahili or whatever the heck, when you just gonna, end up going over there being caught up in a civil war with General Butt Naked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what's gonna end up happening, bro.
Hey, good night.
And Salagi,
So I got
if I could, just one point, that's a heavy point. Like when you say it's so heavy, but just imagine, like we fighting to join. We fight adapt to the culture and accept the culture of Africans and join. Like I remember, I went to an African school and I sing Harambe songs and the Kiswahili, Nafi, Africa, all that stuff. And it's just like, man, why are we joining ourselves? Why are we fighting to join the nation that if we join ourselves, like imagine if we all went to wherever Rwanda is, well, Rwanda right now in Africa,
Right.
and we join on the burden of having to kill the Hutus.
Right.
Or we would have to take on the burden of having to kill the Tutsis
Right.
because we join with them. And so why would we join with a nation when we have burdens of our own here that we ain't even fixed yet?
That's right.
Malnutrition of being Sierra Leonean. Like, Slovakia, I
They're
do.
right. No, that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? Instead, why don't we just get back to this heritage?
That's right.
The hours, man. We're gonna find out as we all of our classes. If you dig deep, if you really pay attention, you'll see how clear it is that this is our history.
That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? Other people who claim that this is theirs are absolute liars. You know what I'm saying? And the proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? So read that scripture one more time, and let's get into this.
Last one.
You know, listen to the last part, Kyle.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from any nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Right, and understand the name of Israel is no more remembrance. How can I say that? Please.
Basically, in America we live in, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians do not know their true identity.
Give him a hand. That's it. That's it. In this America, what we think we African Americans. You know what I'm saying? We think that, you know what I mean? Some they try to tell the so-called Native American Indian man, they try to tell him that he's originally from China or Japan, right? They try to tell a so-called Hispanic brother that his homeland is Spain with a bunch of other white people. You understand? We have no idea who we are, so the name of Israel is no longer with us. Go ahead, brother. Come on, go ahead.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 34, verse 5. And they were scattered because there is no shepherd, and it became meat to all the beasts of the
all the beasts of the field where we were scattered. You understand? And that's why we got to go back. That's why these classes, all these classes, the brotherhood class, scripture breakdown, history class, law class, Lashawan Qadash class, the Sabbath service, all these classes are important is because that's how we get back to what we just read, being a nation. Just writing these, some of these out. You know what I might do? I might have to get a volunteer. I might need a volunteer so we can kind of speed through this. You know, I kind of came through a little late. I want to speed through writing these on the board. You got these? Who has this in their notes? You got it in your notes on?
Got a picture.
No, a picture of this. You may not have it.
Let me see.
If not, it's no sweat. You know what I mean? Like, I can write it out. It's not a problem. Right? So, but the first thing before we get into the actual letters, we mentioned that the word tongue in the Bible just means language, right? And then I'll reach this after that, right? But Lashawan, right? Qadash. All right. Anybody know the root word of Lashawan? No sweat. So what?
Holy.
No, not quite. So, but we're gonna get an understanding of the language, but understand you can flip the predicate and the subject. As you would say, black car. You wouldn't say car black. In English, for the most part, you wouldn't word it that way. Hebrew, not so much. In Hebrew, a lot of times it's flipped. This technically doesn't say holy language. The word Lashawan actually comes from the root word Lashon. And now,
Salaki, sir.
there are things called inflections. Salaki, what you say, young man?
I'm having a great difficulty seeing that board.
Okay, no sweat, not a problem. You know what I might do? I'm probably going to use my phone.
I have my notes with.
Not a problem, not a problem. I might end up using my phone to put another screen so you can see it a little bit closer. So just bear with me just a moment, okay? The camera, can we bring the camera a little bit closer?
Let me see one second.
It's like, okay. Okay. Can we move this camera a little bit closer?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of- Let's see the board. Okay. There you go. That's fine, Chris.
I can see now.
John, is that better, young man?
Can on
Okay,
one
a
can.
little bit larger as well. All right. So we've talked about this before, right? Lashon is the word for tongue, right? And what happens is this. As with any other language, Hebrew has inflections, right? Which are features attached to words in order to change not the meaning per se, but to change the tense, change the number of something, kind of just to give direction to the language. It's no different than saying my car against saying your car or her car. Adding an S word to mean plural or what have you. So we have the same things in Hebrew. One of those inflections is this. It's the wa, middle of a word, right? Now what this wa in the middle of a word does is it inflects or changes the root word an action word, right? Or a process. Now it goes from, so this word is like a noun or your tongue. To the word, and instead of being just the body part, it now becomes an action that you do with that body part. You understand what I'm saying? So in this sense, Lashawan which now basically essentially means language. Why? Why is it that would mean language? Because historically, the tongue has always been associated with what? Speech.
Yeah.
Always. Which is film that takes place in ancient times or anything like that. When they wanted to silence somebody, what would they say? They threatened to move your teeth, or you know what I'm saying, to cut your lips off. They always threaten to cut your tongue out because without a tongue, it is incredibly difficult. It's practically impossible to talk. Okay. So when you say the word Qadash is where you get holy from. Qadash means holy. Right? Holy language. Right? And notice again, Lashawan comes first. So technically, it's more like saying language that is holy. Right? Technically. Right? But again, like I said, in Hebrew, you can say it in either direction, and it still works. Okay? So that's where we get the word Lashawan. All right? And now, Real quick, also, as we get into the meat and potatoes of the Hebrew, I want someone to look up this word. I'm gonna write it on the board. I want someone to look it up. Baruch Shah. This word. Look at that word, okay? Because we're going to find out that Hebrew, being the oldest language, I'm going to actually read a piece of literature on it from Yale University.
Oh, so like that.
Just hold on just 1 second. Here we go. Let me scroll down. So what I'm about to read is a chapter on the Hebrew alphabet. A book published by Yale on the Hebrew language. All right. This is what it says. It says the Hebrew alphabet is the oldest in the world still in use today. Our own alphabet is a descendant of it by a circuitous route. The text of the Hebrew Bible we use today reflects several periods of development. Originally, only the consonants were used. Originally, only the consonants were used. Okay? That's what I want to focus on here. I'm going to read the definition of this word.
God. The Abajad.
Mhm.
And Abajad is a writing system in which consonants are represented.
A writing system in which only consonants are represented. Is there any more? Leaving what?
Vowel sounds to be inferred by the reader.
Leaving vowel sounds to be inferred by the reader.
God.
Okay, so why am I bringing that up? Because what I'm going to focus on today. Too much into Assyrian today. How we read ancient Hebrew, okay? Ancient Hebrew is, by linguistic standards, in Abjad.
Represented.
In which only represented, okay? Read on.
Leaving vowel sounds to be inferred by the reader.
Leaving vowel sounds to be inferred by the reader. What does that mean?
Like,
Good.
basically meaning like, some people say educated.
Try to guess it. All right. Slow, soon to put. No, come on. Okay.
Two P's,
Can we
right?
give it a justice?
Can't that be like a variety of words?
It can. So can anybody guess what it is? And again, you young man, I know that might be hard for you to see. I'm gonna write it large. Yeah, that's 2 P's, right? Here you go.
It's interesting.
Hmm?
That's interesting.
Hippo?
Oh yeah, now I see what you're saying. With the vowels missing, it's like it makes you think. What else is there?
Hippo, it could be, but that's not the word I'm writing. How is it that y'all can't read it? This doesn't make sense to you. Y'all should know very clearly what it is I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Anybody? You want to give it a try?
Oh, I was gonna say, look, I can see TRP.
Anybody else? Want to give it a try, sis? Not hippo. How about this word?
That's a C, right?
Mm-hmm. It's lucky.
Join.
Salaki, sir.
Please.
Officer.
Get that brother ahead.
Oh.
Damn right. And this top word is what?
You gotta think about the syllables in your head. For real. Damn.
Right? I'll try one more. Try one more.
It's like it.
Right? Because this is in English. Right? I'll try one more.
Damn, that's crazy. They live it like crazy. Yes.
Larger. I'm kind of writing from the side, so lock it. Sis.
Is it house?
Most high hey, that's right. His house.
And he definitely chooses a word.
But guess what?
No,
I could have. It could have been house. What else could it have been?
high school.
Hose. Has. Could have been a lot of words. Right? You had to infer it. You had to figure it out. But see, the reason, the thing is, in English, this doesn't. It is not a writing system where the vowels are implied, because in English, you have vowels, but their purpose is to fill in these gaps. You wouldn't write this, you would actually write happy. You would write officer, you would write house. That is the function of vowels, Slakia. That's the function of vowels in the English language. That's what they're there for. You understand? They're there for that reason. This is a consonant. This is a consonant. Vowel, vowel, vowel. Okay? What we're learning about an abjad, which is what the Hebrew language is that our language doesn't have these. Now let's try it a different way. I'm going to write in ancient Hebrew. Now again, I hope y'all got y'all sheets of paper that have the Hebrew on it. And let's see if y'all can guess this word. In ancient. Most High Christ. See how fast this did that? You see that?
Hey, I did get the TJ my hand.
See that?
Hey.
Because there is no vowel for us to write. There's nothing that we can write in between these consonants. Each of these is a consonant. Again, because there's consonants and then there's there's vowels and there's vowel sounds. So A is a vowel. Of a vowel as well. Yes. A vowel in English has a very specific function. And what we're trying to understand is that that functionality is not
A vowel, Oxford Dictionary, a speech sound which is produced by comparatively open configuration of the vocal tract.
right. And what does that mean? That just means that vowel sounds are made by, without getting too technical, by air coming out of your mouth, pause, without any obstruction. That's the word, right? So in order for you to say B, use your lips. C, use your teeth and your tongue. D, teeth and tongue. Such consonants work that way. But vowel sounds, comparatively, you say them without any obstruction. So you say A, E, I, O. Your mouth isn't doing anything to stop the flow of air, right?
A letter representing a vowel sound,
Uh-huh.
such as A, E, I, O, U.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Any more? I want the one, there's a definition that says, just write in vowel nucleus.
That's right here.
Mm-hmm.
With vibrating chords, but without audible friction, and which is a unit of the sound system.
There we go. Unit of the sound system.
Of the language that forms.
The nucleus of a syllable is formed by vowels. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
In English, the nucleus of a word, of a syllable, is formed by actually written vowels. For example, if I say, how many syllables are in the word? One syllable. How many vowels are in the word car?
One.
How many syllables are in the word today? How many vowels are in the word today? Two. Generally speaking, that's the relationship between syllables and vowels. Vowels is generally going to suggest the amount of syllables, and that's what they're used for in English. Okay, and a lot of other languages, not just English. So that's what we're going off of. However, in Hebrew, we don't have that. We don't have vowels that are the nucleus of our syllables. This system in this word, when none of these are vowels. This is a tha, this is a wa, this is a da, and this is a ha. Right, the water, which means what?
Thank you.
Right. There's no vowels at all written. Because as we read in the definition of Elajad, meaning that between each and every one of these consonants, so just in your mind, imagine that every single one of these symbols, again, this is a tha, wa, da, and ha. Just imagine that there's this short A sound in between each one. All right? And now, so if there's a short A sound right there, right? It may not be there. How do you know? These things called connectors. Whereas in English, we know how many syllables based on what? Indication of how many syllables are going to be in the word. There's two here, but they're connected.
It feels like, okay, for our language, ancient, we have connectors. They have vowels, so it's the
Give
same.
him a hand.
It's the same.
That's what it is.
It's the same.
And we have connectors. We don't have. So that's how we know how many syllables to use.
Okay.
Because if there's 4 letters here, we could say what? Tha, wa, da, ha. She didn't say that because she knows the word. Yeah. What does it think it's say, right? So we go by what? These connectors. In English, you would go by vowels. So if I write, even look at these words right here, right? These words that are based on these Hebrew letters, right? Cow, 1 syllable, and 1 vowel. House, 2 vowels, 1 syllable. Camel, 2 vowels, 2 syllables. Door, 1 syllable, but again, they're connected. Behold, start to see a pattern here. For us, we're going to go off these connectors. So if there's 3 connectors, how many syllables are there? 3. every time,
Hey, that's tough.
No matter what.
The answer is tough.
all the time.
Hey, that's tough.
But the only difference is that it's going to inform you of where to place your syllables. I used to say vowel sound, but I don't want to confuse anybody. So we'll just say your syllables. So let's try another one. Dawada, that was excellent. Let's try another one, right? Let's see. Let's think of a word that everyone knows or should know. How about this one? Sorry. My bad. Also remember that Hebrew is written from what? From right to left.
Okay.
Try not to yell it out. Raise your hand, please.
Oh. That's a lot. Shalom.
Shalom. I didn't put these connectors. What could you have said? You could have said shalom, which technically is not a wrong word. It just wouldn't be spelled. Because Solomon's name is what? In Hebrew, ancient Hebrew. What's Solomon's ancient Hebrew name? It is. Solomon's name in ancient Hebrew is Shalamah, but it has a ha at the end. Like such. Right? It connects like the Sha, La, Ma. Right? Just telling you again where the syllables go. And so this is how. Right? We're going to focus on getting our syllables right based on connectors, right? And so the ancient is that we have connectors, right? We don't have those in Assyria, right? So that's why nobody likes Assyria. But it is what it is. We gotta use it. All right. So now, where we go from there. So knowing that these, let's get this alphabet down. All right. So bear with me, okay? If anybody has any questions, you know what I'm saying, you just go ahead and just raise your hand. Does everybody have the Hebrew on it? Just there anybody that doesn't have one? It's like, come. Yes, but is there anybody that doesn't have an actual sheet? If you don't, it's not a problem. I was hoping everybody else sisters don't have the no sweat. You got one? No sweat. No sweat. We gotta cut some more of those out. Also do have a file. I could probably have it on your phone as well, right? But what we're gonna do is actually, you know what? Let's. Now they can't see that online, so I gotta make sure everybody can see it online. So Salaki, you know what I mean? Matter of fact, I'm gonna just write these out first. I'll worry about the breakdowns of this letter after the fact. All right. So, Chris, remember, so what kind of language is Hebrew? You know?
The language of the ancient.
That's correct. But in terms of like the region, describe Hebrew as a language in terms of the region that it comes from. There's a certain word used to describe these kind of languages.
Aramaic.
La. Aramaic would be in the opposite direction. Aramaic came after Hebrew, right? So Aramaic is like Hebrew, but that's the kind of point I'm making. All these languages are related. They're from a certain region, and a certain word is used to describe it. Yeah, you know what you have?
Middle Eastern?
No. To make it clear, it's a word that's actually being used right now very wrongly and ineffectively. Kanye anti what? Right. Hebrew is a Semitic language. Okay. Give me an example of another Semitic language. Languages that are not known as Semitic languages, but we know that the people who speak those languages come from Semitic people.
Okay.
You understand? So, but the language, Shemitic or Semitic, be Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, some other languages in those regions as well. And what's important about that I like, in modern Hebrew are completely false, right? And you can prove it just by knowing a little bit about linguistics. For example, we said what was this word that we said earlier?
Okay.
Now, ask somebody who speaks modern Hebrew how to say that word. What would they say?
Shalom.
They'll say shalom. As a fake Israelite, they'll say what?
Shalom.
Correct.
Good night.
Now, if you study linguistics, they'll tell you language that's spoken right now has a closer connection to ancient Hebrew than modern Hebrew. That language is, as the young man said, Arabic. But there's more overlap between Arabic and Hebrew, or the Arabic that's spoken now and ancient Hebrew, right, than modern Hebrew. It's the word for peace. In Arabic, when they say peace be unto you, they say what? As-salamu alaikum. As-salamu alaikum. Word for peace is salam. Salam.
Okay.
Not salam. Not salawam. It's salam. Because it comes from this word.
That's why you say.
Shalom. Go ahead.
So where do you say Israelite get the shalom? So they're misspelling it.
Where did they get shalom from?
It's like
Exactly what they do. So without going into detail, like fully, right? This word, this is shalom,
Okay.
right? We spoke, it's funny, you asked earlier in the class, we talked about how when you put the wa in the middle of a word, it turns it into an action, okay? So sometimes you'll run across something in the Bible that looks like this. Now, of course, we're writing it in ancient. You won't see it in ancient because it's hard to find, right? We have copies in ancient, but you're not going to be able to go to a bookstore and buy it as such, right? Here we go. You'll see this word. In Syrian, it will look like this, right? This is what it will look like in Assyrian. It's a little bit crude. It's a lot. Now, first things first, what do we say that all of the letters in Hebrew are? Remember, all of the letters in Hebrew are what? So Hebrew, in terms of linguistics, is an abjad, but all the letters in Hebrew are la, not syllables. They represent what? Close. The opposite. Consonants. Every single Hebrew letter, abagada, awazaka, they're all consonants. All consonants. Here's the problem. We're not going to detail, but the oppressor at a certain point took this language and injected a thing that is now called matrix. Matrix is a Latin word that means mother language or mother tongue. Matrix is a system by which you can take in abjad and change some of the letters that are consonants and use them as what? Who can guess? As vowels. So now where each of them, that's what they always are, no matter what. In this system called matrix, sometimes some of these letters, which ones? The wa, the ah, it's like four of them. They can turn vowels, right? And that's kind of something we didn't get fully into, but we started to talk about it. Well, the difference between a vowel is that a vowel being the nucleus of a syllable, you can do what? You can connect letters. So again, example, say car. If what to say, you understand? So with that being said, but in Hebrew it doesn't work like that. We know how to infer what is the appropriate. We only have one vowel too. Let me make sure that's clear. There's only one vowel sound, the sh sound. Okay. In Hebrew, there's no other vowel sound. There's no O's. There's no E's. There's no I's. It's just the short A sound. That's why you say shalom yahweh.
So what about the R from the O?
I'm glad you asked that. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying not to confuse you, but that I, it has a vowel because as we talked about, when you speak it, there's no obstruction for the passage of air when you say it. But why would that not be a vowel? You would think, well, that has to be a vowel. But why is it not a vowel? That's what we're getting at here. Why is it that there's an here? There's an I, we didn't write it, that's what that symbol represents. There's an I, and then there's this short A sound that we use within our words. We say shalom, Yahweh, Shamar, Ahalatha. We use these sounds, but they're not vowels. How is that possible? You want it. But think more about English. What happens in English? I just gave an example. Why is this right here? This is the key to understanding what I'm saying.
Is it because you don't need anything to like put it together?
Give her a hand.
That's right.
Because the difference is you may hear a sound that sounds like a vowel. It's a vowel sound. But guess what you know what you can't do in Hebrew? 3 letters, put them together and say that this letter connects this letter to this letter. You need that. This doesn't make sense. C and R have no relationship to each other. They make sense unless I do what? Unless I put a vowel. Now it makes sense. This is one syllable. This C is being connected to this R by this A vowel. That's why it forms the what? Nucleus or the center of a syllable. It's the nucleus, it's the center of a syllable. We don't have that. So we're talking more about functionality. Yeah, you might hear a sound that sounds like a vowel. It's a vowel sound. You have to have vowel, quote unquote. In language, there are no functioning vowels. None of these letters connect each other. I can't use the ga to connect the da or any of that. That's not how it works. And that's kind of how we get this ridiculous word called shalom. Because they decided, guess what? We will letters into vowels in terms of how they function, and we'll connect this to this. So that once was shalom, sha, la, and ma. And when you connect it, you make one syllable, sha, lum. Mess it up, right? It's basically like adding raisins to the potato salad. That's what they did. So now it's a sha, this is a la, or this is a ma. But now they said, well, we can use this and turn this, what once was a wa. We'll say that sometimes it can be in You see that? Shalom. Because they decided, again, matrix like Tionis, that you can turn one of these into a vowel to connect other consonants. But that is impossible. That's not how Hebrew works. It never worked that way. This word is not shalom. Again, functionally connecting other consonants. So that's step one. That's how you get shalom. It's nonsense. And again, we can prove this in so many ways. You can use other Shemitic languages to prove that it's false. You can also just use like the names, again, to prove that that's not the case. The ancient Hebrew names like Shalom. Another thing that proves is that this word cannot be what? Shalom. Because shalom, let's just say shalom, let's just say it is a Hebrew word. The problem is that it still wouldn't be what? Why do we use shalom? What do we say it for? What's the purpose of shalom? Greeting. We say shalom to think of it almost like saying the ing in English, right? Like the process of doing something. You know what I'm saying? You go from, if there's a hoop, if you're a hooper, it's because you're hooping. You understand? If you stand somewhere, you're standing. The ing, if we're not talking about a gerund, is a word, is a way of turning something into a continuous action. Like piecing or something.
Force the O.
What they're trying to do is they're trying not to say shalom.
Yeah.
Think Israelites look at this and be like, oh man, they saying shalom. I don't know, it ain't shalom, it's shalom. Now, shalom is not a greeting. And then guess what? And we never said that. You go watch old One West tapes, or watch the Seven Heads, Commissionally, Hanajim. Them brothers never said shalom. That's not how they greeted each other. Always been shalom. Please.
Like I said earlier, it's heavy because it's like people, they left One West, and it's like they create their own distinction so much by creating their own words.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
So we separate. It's like we already holy, which is separate. So we draw.
Just to try to be different.
My brother, he hit me up. And he said, that what's that? Happy Sabbath.
Oh man.
It was so heavy. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Facts.
And then he said Shalom, and I'm like, it's heavy. Like,
Good night. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what that means, man.
me either.
I don't know what that is or what it means. Ain't nobody ever said that to me in the night. Okay. Most I encourage for that. Yeah, we don't do the happy Sabbath. Okay. God. So most high in Christ, all right? It informs us again of the inner workings of our language. Keep it what it is. You know what I'm saying? Let's not try to mix it up and turn it into something that it's not.
That's all right.
Come.
Weapon.
That's
So
exactly.
what's the Allah meaning his name?
Okay, that's a good question as well. And that's further proof. I'm glad to see y'all have some good questions today. Most high Christ. Further proof of the relationship of Shemitic languages to prove the ancient pronunciation. I got a book. This book we have in the school. I have it with me. I can't recall the name of it either. It's like I think it's a Yale book or whatever. It's a different chapter where it tells you that in ancient vowel sounds, it had one vowel sound, the short A, that was implied. That's why brothers, or you brothers, be doing that Sabbath service, right? You might run never seen in your life. You have never seen this word, but there's a simple way to get an understanding. I'm going to answer your question, right? Simple way. All you gotta do, you should see it right here. If I just write this, if I write this. What's that word?
Oh my God.
Sure. Sisters, y'all got anything? No, sir. Salaki, brother, but it's not right. How many syllables are in Lamaka?
Oh, so that's two right there.
But how many connectors are there?
It's two, so it's two syllables. Lamaka.
What?
Lamaka.
Can't be Lamaka, because Lamaka is 3 syllables. There's only 2 syllables here. There's only 2 connectors. Now, let's check it out. This is where we're gonna learn about. The next section of today's class is on connectors. Because you said Lam-Ka. That's 2. And guess what? These are the exact letters you would need to say Lam-Ka. But it doesn't say Lam-Ka. Why? Where are the connectors and what kind of connectors do we have? All right, let's figure it out. The word here is Lamak. Lamak. What does as a connector? This is a connector. This is a connector. Here, under ancient Hebrew words, they both are connectors, but they used to demonstrate that 2 letters share a what? Or give me, that's correct, you're right, same vowel, but give me a better way to put it, so that way we don't confuse people with words and vowels and stuff. Give me a better way to say it.
Same connector.
Give me a better word. What does a vowel do? What is the A? A vowel forms the nucleus of a
Word.
No. A vowel forms the nucleus of a. No.
Oh, it's like a syllable.
Get that brother in. A syllabus. Syllabus. That's what it is. Syllable. Syllabus. Going back to the college days. Syllable. Syllable. So this symbol is going to tell you when two consonants, 2 letters are 1 syllable. So if you see, I'll tell you right now. I'm going to give you a word that will work with this. 2 letters, 1 syllable in Hebrew. Like you. So like you for mine. Horrible handwriting. What's that word? Who said what? Sure. Khan.
Oh.
Which means what?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. How did you know it was here for a while? But how did you? What's another way to know that it's coming? Because this connector tells you that 2 letters what? 1 syllable. This is 1 syllable. So if you see this, it can't be kana because kana is what? 2 syllables. So there's an imaginary short A sound after every single consonant, with the exception of the ah. and the I. But even actually the I, with the exception of those two. After every consonant, there's this imaginary, remember, this is not there. Don't think that I'm saying that this is actually there. But in your mind, you know that this is a ka, this is a na. But this also can be what? Kan. You can cut this. You just have to know based on the connectors. And this connector tells you, well, these two are actually going to be one syllable, so there can't be another what vowel sound there. It can't be. So now, that being said, what does this other symbol represent? We know what this one is. So we're only going to use our connecting two symbols, two letters. So what does this other one, what does this upside down frown mean? There we go. It means it is its own syllable by itself.
I put it in my notes too, so.
It's its own. Itself. So let's see. Let's think of another word. Who knows how to say that's only one syllable. Who knows what the Hebrew word for day is?
Lucky, sir. Officers knocking on the way.
Like this.
Say what?
Would it be like that?
The word for day, or you just write this on?
For the day, the word for day.
Why did you come to that conclusion?
Because I said this. DA, that one.
Ah, I see. Don't do that. I see what you did. Because
Is it about what? Or is that?
Seven.
what's on your purse? That's morning. The word for day. Think of it like Day of Atonement. His brother did the same thing. Y'all trying to be English. Hebrew letters. No.
One syllable, right?
Mhm.
Two. Day.
Example, so let's see, I'm learning a lot today. You know what I mean? Because you can see this, you can show this to your friends. You know what I mean? How fake modern Hebrew is. I've seen this word before. Ever seen that? Heard it? Anybody know from school the Yom Kippur?
Oh, yeah.
May not be familiar with that.
I know.
But where I'm from, that is every Jewish neighborhood. Every Jew.
The day was on. I was the one that day. 20. I did.
Word Yom Kippur, but this word is not. It's a false of the real Hebrew word, which is one. You're one. Remember what we said, right? In their version of Hebrew, you can take a wa and turn it into a o and use it as a vowel to connect these other letters. So if I wrote it in Hebrew, yeah, bro.
Dang, I thought about something later.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using English to put together, basically, to create their own language.
I mean, in a way, because they're using features that are not there in Hebrew.
They're taking vowels and they take.
Exactly. So this, anybody in the school, anybody would read this even before I write the connectors, and they would assume it's Yawam, which is the Hebrew word for day. Yawam means day. Okay? Again, they get Yom because they say, well, no, even though we know that really in Hebrew you can't connect this letter all the way over here to this letter all the way over here by turning this into a vowel, they do it anyway. Turn this into a O and Ma and say Yom, right? But for our purposes, we know that's garbage and nonsense. But again, check it out. Board because I didn't write all the letters up here yet, right? So I see it's right here. It's right here. I'll write this one out. So this right here, this symbol is a Yah, right? Mhm.
Yeah, that's it. They're the same. Okay, but
Mhm. This is a Yah, right? So this symbol, this right here, this connector, is informing you that this Yah is its own symbol. It's not connected to anything. It's just Yah. Then we see these two symbols, and this symbol tells us what? That they're going to form a syllable. So it has to be what? Yah. One. Has to be.
Damn, the connected really say.
That's what I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you about this ancient,
I
man.
like it because it make you not put.
It makes you not say Yawama or Yoma. Little complex words and larger words, right? Like the Aishara and Baba Kushar and all of that. You hear somebody in the Sabbath service. That's why when and this happens to all of us, you're gonna see a brother and he's gonna be looking at the word and he's gonna be like Yawama, the Aisha, because it sounds out, right? And the thing is, in the Assyrian, we don't have connectors. So imagine having to try to read this and figure this out.
Like a rush, stuff like that.
Yeah, like some of those words, without the connectors in your mind, you're gonna come up with a million different combinations of how you can say it. This is something you kind of gotta get used to. You just gotta, get used to it. All right. But any other questions?
So like if I made, I was asking about Zaya Alice, like what the rest of the name.
That's what it was. Salaki. I said I was gonna get to your question. So again, we didn't finish the alphabet today, Salaki. I got nervous, you know what I'm saying? It's my first time, the water for having me. You know what I mean? So what I was saying. Real quick. Salaki. One more. I'm just gonna take some words. Let's see if it comes up. If I can, it's not a problem. Not a problem. I can't find the exact article right now, but it's no sweat. But like I said, if you look up in linguistics, they'll tell you that modern Arabic shares more phonemes, which are just like parts of the sound of a language, shares more phonemes with ancient Hebrew than modern Hebrew. Meaning that ancient Hebrew wouldn't have sounded like it. It's not the same. But if you were to compare it, it would be closer to Arabic than modern Hebrew in terms of how it sounds. Okay? So here's an example to prove that. This word. There's another example. In Hebrew with that combination of letters. That seems like three.
Allah.
That's what it is. It's actually two syllables. Allah, which means what?
No. Like they
Not
should.
quite. You're not wrong, but
Also, they share different syllables, so if the connection is going down.
they're supposed to go down.
Okay.
Because if I was to connect it, it would be what?
Con.
Which is a word in Hebrew. It means like to or unto. But here, this word is and it has a meaning. Anybody know? You say God. There's a reason why you said God. And you're not wrong. Okay? That's the word. Give him a hand. That's the better way to say it. The reason why that's the better way to say it is because we don't want to confuse anybody into thinking that we worship exactly.
Allah.
Which means power,
God.
right? But it also is the Most High. The Most High is the power, right? But we also not the Most High's what? It's not his name. That's what makes us different than the so-called Muslim name, the Arabic name, Islam. Yeah.
Yeah, they said you tried to
Well, basically, it's more like them ripping off of our language. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we just read in a Yale book from their archives that this is written language. Understand? So Arabic comes after, of course, because again, the people are related. Got you. People are related. Certain terminologies are overlapping, right? So again, for example, we're not Moabites, but go Google the Moabite stone. If you Google the Moabite stone, it has these letters on it. In the same area, and so on. Of course, the word Hebrew comes from Eber, which is like the grandson of Noah. This means power or the power, or you can say the Most High. So when you see somebody's with the name, right? When you see Ya'Allah or something,
powerful weapon.
not quite. Ya'Allah, somebody's name would be something Ya'Allah. Shabbat Ya'Allah. Zayan Ya'Allah. It just means of the power.
Oh,
Right, exactly.
that's fire.
Right.
That's fire.
So it would be like this. Allah means of the power. That's all. So Zayan Ya'Allah, or you can word it different ways. You say weapon of the power, or you say the Lord's weapon. Or like Shabbat Ya'Allah. Shabbat, it actually uses the word 7, but it also means an oath. So it can use the oath. So we're translating English, Hebrew to English. Everything's not going to be in the order that we're used to in English, right? But the meaning, nonetheless, is what we're trying to convey. That's the most important part. Even when it comes to these transliterations, we're just trying to convey whether it be the meaning or whether it be the pronunciation, right? So even when we write Zion, and this is a transliteration. Why? Because we're just trying to transfer the sound of a word into English letters so we can read it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Remember that from one of your classes, transliteration for sound and translation and transfer meaning.
Exactly. Because the transliteration of this is what? What is the transliteration of this ancient Hebrew word? It's on the board. You gotta point to it.
Oh.
Basically, you're right, but it's like that the word is Allah. That's the transliteration is this. Because we use English letters to make the sound word. Y'all said power. That would actually be the what? The translation, because this is what the word means. Okay.
English all over again.
Salakia, Most High in Christ. Let's do this again sometime. Salakia that I didn't move faster and get into some of the other stuff I want to talk about. Y'all some good questions. I hope I was able to show y'all some things, whatever that's going to be useful. Out of time. Are there any questions related to the Hebrew at all that I can answer? Anything? No sweat.
Oh.
Okay, please. Letter Q. Mhm. It's a qua. Okay, so I'll just write it real fast. Like I didn't finish all of this, so I'll just write it right here so you can see it. Qua. Right. So like it comes from the ancient Hebrew word kwawash. Does anybody know what that word means? This symbol should help you know what it means. This symbol is representative of, that's what we're gonna get into today. La, that's what I said. Each one of these symbols is a physical drawing of the thing that it's supposed to represent. Yeah. Trap. This is a symbol that represents an ancient mousetrap. Have y'all seen it before?
That just hit me right now.
Come. If you literally Google ancient mousetrap, you're going to see a picture of some rope and a thing that's exactly like this. If you wanted to kill mice 6,000 years ago, you had to use one of these, right? And the word was kawash, which means a snare or trap. Okay. God. Anything else? Most High in Christ. And with that, I pass the class over to priest and officer, y'all.